Amazing wisdom.
Entrepreneurs.
Business leaders.
Success. Amazing success.
Around the world.
This is the Success Nuggets podcast. Have you ever wondered what you could learn and how inspired you'd be if you asked incredible people from around the world about the patterns that drive progress? Get ready to dive into a world of insights and inspiration. This is the Success Nuggets podcast with the founder of the Digital Light Bulb and your host, David Abel.
Hello, how are you? And thanks for joining. My next conversation is with a friend of mine and the podcast, Mr. Chris Browne, the former retail director at Ted Baker for 30 years. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thanks, Dave. Nice to be here.
Great to have you. You often refer to doing things unusual or not ordinary when it comes to Ted Baker. Can you explain a bit more on that?
Yeah, I can. So when we started the business, we thought we'd got everything planned, everything organized, all the different departments thought about. And like most brands and lots of companies, perhaps not so true in 2024, but back then, we hadn't budgeted for marketing, nothing really. And we had conversations early on about, well, we don't like the advertising such as it is and the advertising standards that other people put out. Ray didn't want to put adverts out. I didn't want to put adverts out. So how can we make ourselves famous? How can we get attention? So we did the very first window and we decided to make that window move somehow. So we made it move with a train track and a spinning globe and a wobbling mannequin. And it was really quite simple. But crowds would stand outside the shops. We had 8 shops by the end of 1988. And they would attract attention just because we had a moving window. So after that, and for nearly 25 years, I would say, for 20 years plus at least, we came up with some crazy and unusual windows. You know, we had an alien ate my shirt, an 8-foot-high alien holding and eating one shirt in its mouth while another one was on its way to its mouth. We actually had live aliens in the window. We had performance artists in all the shops being live aliens on a Saturday, and we stopped the traffic. We actually got, I got a police caution for that in Nottingham. So we tried to do, what could we think of was the most unusual? We had a lap dancer in the window. We thought, what does Santa Claus do when he's finished delivering all his presents? He goes to his favourite bar, he has a beer, and he watches his favourite lap dancer. Now, that was like 1997. You wouldn't get away with that now. Back in 1997, it was incredibly funny. Huge, great. It was a reindeer. It wasn't a lap dancer. It was a reindeer in a sexy ermine-trimmed red bikini. And again, everybody in that town would be told, what's Ted Baker's window going to be? So that's what we were about. Super. Excitement.
Chris, moving on to your second big strength here. Some may say you are the best at people centricity. In very simple terms, if people need permission, is it to become a clone of their boss or something different?
It's to be themselves. I mean, again, absolutely sounds cliche, but we really did try to achieve it. I didn't want people joining the business. In fact, one of my favorite things when someone new joined the business was to give them a rail of stock or something to do in the shop and see what they did with it without any training whatsoever. What do you bring to it? What did you have elsewhere? What's your idea in your head? And that freedom, we gradually strangled it, to be honest, David, by the end of our time as Ted Baker. But for the first 20 years, certainly, every store had a slightly different personality to it because we allowed the personality of the people in the store. And there's some big mistakes happened because of that. But that's where the gold lies. You find the best stuff in amongst those. Oh, that didn't work. But actually, there's a nugget of an idea there, and we use that. See how I cleverly worked nugget in there?
I did. Chris, that was a reference to One Golden Nugget. The last nugget we have is in from Roger Federer, the famous tennis player. He says negative energy is wasted energy. You're optimistic. That must ring true to you.
Absolutely. I mean, I use my nugget is choose happy. And I'm obsessed by choosing happy, but I'm also about choosing positivity. So in that moment when you're maybe struggling to hit your final day's target at the end of the month, you have to believe that big customer is going to come in and drop 2,000 at the last minute. You've got to do that right to the wire. I've had it happen where we've shut the shop, we're all closing down for the day, and someone turns up. Oh my God, I need 6 suits for a wedding tomorrow. It has happened, and so you have to have that relentless positivity. And I do believe that by pouring positivity on a situation, even if it still turns out badly, you felt positive about it.
Choose happy.
Choose happy every day. We all have a choice. Wake up, choose happy, choose sad. I don't tend to choose sad. Even on the saddest days, I've sadly been to the funerals of both my parents, and I've made them into days where I've celebrated their lives internally. May not have expressed it to everyone else, but internally, absolutely. And you do that as well. The day I left the company, Ted Baker, 30 years, glorious career. I spent the next 24 hours laughing.
Chris, it's wonderful to hear of the good that can come from adversity. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm sorry our time's up, and I hope we see you again.
See you soon, David. Thanks very much.
Join David and his incredible guests next time on the Success Nuggets podcast. And to find out more, visit onegoldennugget.com. Thank you for listening.